Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. So I have a screen recording for you guys today as I talk about Google Calendar. Google Calendar is a huge part of my life and how I keep things organized. You may have noticed that in my bullet journal I don't do a lot of scheduling because it's easier for me to just do it on Google Calendar because you can plan as far in advance as you would like because Google Calendar will keep going forward through infinity. I mean, I haven't really tested how far in advance it goes, more than a year, but it's always there to go forward and put things into your calendar. This isn't going to be like a Google Calendar how-to because I'm going to assume that most of you will be able to figure out how to use a calendar. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to show you guys. Now, I'm currently in June 2015, as you can see here, because I don't want to show you guys my future or current plans because that's a little creepy to put on the internet. So I went back in time. So everything on the screen is currently faded. Usually it has a more vibrant color to it, but everything's faded because that's how Google shows that something's in the past, which is actually really nice. So my preferred view for Google Calendar is always the month view because I like to be able to see everything that's going on. And I also have multiple calendars in my single Google Calendar account. So this is the first tip or trick that I have for you guys, is to make separate calendars for separate things. If you saw my bullet journaling video from last week, you know that I said I'm big on colors and color coding. That is definitely seen here on my Google Calendar, as I have multiple calendars and each of them has a different color associated with them. If everything is just the same color, it all just blends together and looks exactly the same. But by putting everything into its own individual color, I'm able to differentiate the things that I have on different days. Different calendars that I have are video planning, birthdays, book riot, events, new book releases, other, and then my name. Here, the stuff that's under my name is the one stuff that's connected to my other calendar. So I actually have two Google accounts because I have a personal account and then the one that's connected to my YouTube channel. So we're currently looking at the one that's connected to my YouTube channel because it has more stuff in it. I will be switching over to the other Google Calendar a little bit later to show you guys how I organize things on there. And then I also have other calendars. So here under other calendars, I have Chicago Bears and holidays. So the Chicago Bears one is one that I import every fall. I'm a Bears fan, obviously. So I go to the Chicago Bears website and they actually have it so you can import their schedule into your calendar, which is really nice because you can see exactly who they're playing every week and things like that. You don't see it here because this is the off season. And then holidays in the United States is a calendar that is given by Google. I have my US holidays already put into my calendar so I don't have to try to figure out when Thanksgiving is or something like that. Now, if you want to make a new calendar, all you have to do is click the little down arrow here, create new calendar, and then you can put in whatever calendar title. I usually don't fill out these two things. I don't really care about time zones because time zone is usually always the same for me. I usually don't make my calendars public. And then down here, this is actually a really nice feature with Google Calendar, which I know a lot of my friends, couples, they will share calendars with their significant others so that way they know each other's events that are going on. Also, if you are using this for work purposes, you can share it with a coworker or whatever. Click create calendar and then it shows up. There we go. It shows up under your My Calendars and it automatically assigns a color, but you can change the color if you want by hitting the little down arrow next to the calendar, and then you can choose a color or you can make a custom color if you're that particular. Usually this is more than enough. You might see down here that tasks is not colored. I don't use Google Calendar for tasks clearly because I use my bullet journal for that. If you click on the little box here, it'll pop up the tasks, which I don't use. If you unclick it, the tasks disappear, and you can do this with any of your calendars. So for my video planning, if I want to not see my video planning on here, that might be helpful. So yeah, this is generally how I plan out my months. I will put in individual events under my name. I have here the 48-hour book challenge, which happened in June this year, that I wanted to take part in, or when I first heard about it, I wasn't sure if I was going to take part in it or not because it depended on what I had going on that weekend. For the different readathons or anything like that that might be happening, if I know in advance when it's going to be happening, I'll put the date in my calendar and then I'll see when it gets closer whether or not I'll actually be participating, which is really nice. Here under my name are usually personal events, things I'm actually attending. So my friend was having a wine and cheese club, small group hangout, a wedding I went to this year, things like that. And this is a calendar, again, that I mentioned is shared with my personal account, so it's on both calendars because that's usually a thing that I want on both calendars. I have my friends and family's birthdays in their own calendars, so that way, I never forget when their birthday is. And then a big one that would probably be useful for a lot of you guys is the video planning one. So a lot of times when I am trying to figure out what videos I'm going to make for the month, I will put in like some ideas that I might have. So in June was a month where I was doing the Reblog book club, so I have that in my calendar. And the nice thing about Google Calendar is that you can drag and drop events. So sometimes I'll be brainstorming and then I'll think of something later on that I actually would want to talk about more during the week. So then I will just take an event and move it to another day if I need to, or I'll just delete it completely from my calendar. But a lot of times I end up moving it to the next month because I'll probably make that video eventually. As the months go on, I will just continue to always put in the wrap up towards the end of the month and put in any book reviews I might know I want to do during the month, and then try to brainstorm ideas of the things I can do during the other week. Usually I try to fill in every single Friday for the month, so that way I at least have a general idea. If I skip a week, it's usually because I don't have enough time to make a video. It's very rare that I skip a week because I don't have an idea, because I feel like I always have something I want to talk about or make. Worst case scenario is that I'm doing a Friday reads one week, which you guys know I don't do that often. Doesn't even feel like filler content to me because I don't do them often enough to feel like filler content. And then this is my personal calendar for the same month. So you'll see that things are kind of similar, but there's actually less stuff on this one. The reason why is because my YouTube calendar and my YouTube account is actually my default account when it comes to Google. If you guys know, you can have multiple accounts on the same browser. This one mostly just has information in here pertaining to like work and personal. So if you guys can see, I have, again, my name calendar here. I have birthdays again because I just originally put in birthdays over here and then I just shared it with my other calendar. I have reminders, which there are certain things that happen like yearly that I want to remember to do. So I run like my credit report a couple of times a year, and I have reminders to do that every couple of months. That's not a thing that I want to put in my bullet calendar because it happens so infrequently that I'm never going to remember to do it unless it's in here. And then training is something that I was doing for like workouts and stuff like that, so I have that in this calendar. And then work. The nice thing about Google Calendar is you can make things a repeating event. So I work the same shift every single day at the exact same place every single day. So I just have this in here repeated. Also, every Sunday I go to church. So I automatically have that in my calendar every single week. So that way when people are like, oh, what are you doing on the 14th of June, then I'll be like, well, I have church in the morning and I have nothing else going on, so I'm free for the rest of the day. And then the other reason why I put it in my calendar every single day is that if you have an Android phone and you connect your calendar to your Android phone and you have a location specified in your events, it will actually detect where you are currently and it'll figure out how long it'll take to get to the event that you're going to next, and it'll notify you when it's time for you to leave. Monday mornings, it knows I need to be at work at 9 a.m. at X location, and it normally takes like 20 to 30 minutes for me to drive to work. But if there's a traffic issue, like an accident or something on my way to work, my phone will notify me and say either A, you need to leave earlier, or B, you need to take a separate route. So I usually get a notification around 8:15 or so saying to leave at 8:30 or so for work, which is actually really, really nice because if there is like some sort of traffic incident, I know ahead of time and I can plan for that. This is also really nice when you're going to like new places. So here on the 19th, I was going out for my friend's birthday. It's at 6:30 p.m. and assuming it's someplace in the city, it might take me a little bit longer to get there on a Friday night. It'll detect wherever I'm at and it'll say, okay, you should leave by this time, and it doesn't calculate it too far in advance. So you'll usually get like a 15-minute notification to when you have to leave. So this dinner was at 6:30. If it wants me to leave around 6 o'clock for dinner, then it'll notify me around 5:45 that I should leave at 6 o'clock. So it's really, really nice in that sense. It is super creepy if you think about it too hard because Google's constantly monitoring my location, but I gave it permission to do that so that way I'm constantly on time for things. So yeah, that's basically how I use Google Calendar to just stay on top of things. The big thing is to have multiple calendars. Another big thing is to put in my location for every single event that I have going on. You can add a notification, which is really nice, which is what I do on the reminders. I'll add a notification and you have two choices to either do a pop-up or an email. I prefer an email because a pop-up doesn't really work if you're not signed into Google. I get emailed hey, this is a thing that's coming up on your calendar, and it helps remind me to put that thing on my to-do list. So usually if I get that email notification, then I'll put that as a to-do in my bullet journal, if that makes sense. So yeah, Google Calendar has a lot of really great options. I don't even use this to its fullest ability, I know for a fact, but it definitely gets the job done for me, which is all I really need. I went through this pretty quickly, so if you have any questions, definitely leave that down below. And if you have any tips or tricks of your own that you use for Google Calendar, definitely leave that down in the comment section, because again, like I mentioned, I know I don't use this to its fullest potential, but I try to use as many of the elements as possible since I'm already integrated into the Google world with my Android phone and everything like that. I really, really appreciate stuff like this. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.